The Kingsman is the prequel to Kingsman Secret Service and Kingsman Golden Circle, both of which were inspired by Mark Miller, Dave Gibbons' comic book series. Matthew Vaughn directing again. He made Kick-Ass, again from a Miller source, and co-writing with Carl Gajdusek. Stars Ralph Fiennes, who is also an executive producer, and who I spoke to recently about something completely different, which was really interesting. So the setting is, so First World War, evil genius who we only know through most of the film from the fact that he has a Scottish accent, is the puppet master behind world events, like from the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, in which insert gag about I like their first album, to the Russian Revolution. Ralph Fiennes is Duke of Oxford, Harris Dickinson is his son Conrad. Also in the key group, Jaimin Hansu as the sturdy Shola and Gemma Arterton as Polly, who look like they are staff servants. They're anything but. Conrad wants to go and fight the war. His father doesn't want him to. Anyway, all turns out that all world's events are being masterminded by this sinister, evil baddie, and the great nation's involvement or otherwise in wars are all essentially being controlled by a sweary Scottish Bond villain, hence the network of super spies who are now needed with eyes and ears everywhere. Here is a clip.
Conrad, our ancestors, they were terrible people. They robbed, lied, pillaged and killed until one day they found themselves noblemen. But that nobility, it never came from chivalry. It came from being tough and ruthless. Back then, to be called a gentleman would have been a death sentence, not the mark of honor it is today. We are Oxfords, not rogues.
Ah, the voice of Ralph Fiennes. You could kind of drink it, couldn't you? It's like...
Yeah, it's fantastic.
He has. I mean, seriously, no matter what else, you just go, I'm Ralph Fiennes and this is how I talk. Okay, that's fine. Just keep talking. When we led into this, you sort of said that you'd kind of, your heart sank. Okay.
Yes.
Tell me why your heart sank, and then I'll tell you about the film. What was it that was the sinking quality?
So I'll say again, I haven't seen the film. No, I know,
but you've seen the first two Kingsman films.
I've seen the first two, and I remember speaking to Taron Egerton about the last one, and there is a leery quality to them which I think spoils the whole idea. The first one had it, the second one had it, and when I raised the point, this is my memory, is I think Taron Egerton knew that it did fall down in that particular. This is me putting what. But I think if you go back and listen to that interview, he sort of acknowledged that there was a sort of a disquiet there. And I thought, well, it may be that they've changed this around and they've decided not to be as leery as the first two. It just felt unpleasant, and I didn't think the whole Elton John story worked particularly well. But
Elton John's story? You thought that was a story?
Well, it was the beginning of
I know.
relationship, obviously.
I think there is something exhausting about Matthew Vaughn as a filmmaker, not least his utter lack of judgment. I mean, as he demonstrated in those previous Kingsman films, that leery stuff that you're talking about, he never knows when to stop something or when not to do something or when to just not go there. And in previous installments, that has meant that there was a couple of running gags that hit what I called a bum note and added this completely unnecessarily queasy element to what was otherwise a kind of young James Bond on jelly beans sort of adventure. Here, that particular thing has gone, but has been replaced by a kind of political humour or attitude to history that is every bit as queasy and problematic as the bum notes hit in the other film. And again, which go to suggest that Matthew Vaughn just doesn't have an ear for this. It's like he's kind of tone deaf to what I've saw. Other people have talked about, whether it's to do with taste or bad taste. But here it means taking historical events and treating them like kind of wanton playthings, regardless of how terrible or important or otherwise some things may have been. So, if you think those judges in Kingsman were misjudged, wait till you get to the honk, quack, gag, I say gag, at the end of this movie, which would have caused me to walk out, although I did anyway because it was the end of the film. I mean, some of it's fun. Reese Ifans has fun as Rasputin. Gemma Arterton gives it some kind of heart, and it's a relief that, you know, now that her character has the role that it does, the leering elements are largely gone, although I said they have been kind of replaced by sort of schoolboy attitude toward world history. I mean, you with your political history degree, I'd be interested.
What sort of thing are you raising here? You know, what kind of problematic historical references?
Moral equivalence between historical characters that I think are made in very, very poor taste.
Okay.
There's some good set pieces. I mean, you know, Vaughan does have a kind of... The fact that he has no sense of decorum means that there is a kind of anarchic charm sometimes, because you've got no idea where anything's going at any time, and you have no idea whether anything's going to take a turn for the worst. But it is a very... How shall I say this? It's a very privileged form of anarchy. It's a sort of form of anarchy that sees all politics as indistinguishable and all history as indistinguishable, and effectively looks down upon it all from a height, and from a slightly sneery height. The touch of the Bullingdon clubs about it. I mean, it's not without a certain elan, and, you know, there are individual bits of it which are quite fun. But it's just, yeah, judgment is not to the fore.